administrator in Montgomery County, Maryland, one of those local governments. We're about 500 square miles and 950,000 people just outside of Washington, D.C. So I'll try to make this quick. On the most innovative ways to draw them out, one of the things that really came out of the rest of the conference here is it's the applications, the apps enable companies, they drive them to be more innovative than any single company can do on its own. And so in that way, I would suggest that what you need to be getting are, at those high school levels, the college levels, having those kids work on applications that help younger students learn, where they're close to it, that make the learning interactive, game-like, feedback to them. Using touchpad technology and what we know about tactile learning and underlining and highlighting and e-books that you can carry around and mark up and take notes and do those things. And also promoting in video literacy, kids, the same way that we taught them words and sentences and then we had to teach them to put together essays, we let them go free and figure out how to find stuff on YouTube, but we don't give them as much about how to use that video to tell comprehensive stories and teach lessons in those 2-3 minute segments that they're now used to doing. On the what challenges that we'd like to see, there specifically, one thing I would say is a lot of these applications you see, they're powered by enormous amounts of broadband, and almost nobody has got that kind of broadband that you're delivering at the K through 12. I sit there and fight every day to find funding for that, and there are almost no studies out there that show how broadband improves learning outcomes. And having that would enable me to get more funding so that we're building those systems. We got a BTOP grant. We got 100 megabits to some of them. We're trying to get it to a gigabit, but having that, we don't have that. What we do have is a lot of studies that show that parent involvement improves outcomes, but we don't fund things that enable us to quickly improve parent outcomes, whether that's a message that goes out on your cell phone, your child did not turn in his homework today. It's just automatic. We have these things in classrooms where teachers can put these things out on the internet, but they don't have a scanner in the classroom so that the worksheet that they did today is automatically posted and it goes up there. And I would say that the flip side of that is being an honest assessment about where technology harms learning. Having kids in a room, in a computer, where they could have been doing it with a book, where they are now enabled to get all of these distractions from the internet. Having them have applications where they use online systems to do bibliography versus comparing how does that compare to having a 2-sheet back inside that tells you to underline and do it, and you do it yourself and you learn those things. So, you know, those would be the things. And then I think that the last part of what is most useful is having things that we can either replicate or test. So it's not helpful from us if it's like, if you invest $100 million, you could do that. Basically trying to find things that, you know, kind of given the toolbox that you have now, this is how you could leverage it. This is the way that we got people to innovate and do these applications, and this is how we set it up. And here's a program in which you can get your students to kind of do that and run those kinds of things. That's what's probably going to be useful for us.
Thank you.
My name is Kerry Christian, and I'm not an educator, but I'm not going to let that stop me right at this point.
It's after 5.
Great, I'm going to go for it. One of the things we've heard throughout the day is all reading, writing, arithmetic, very practical stuff. I mean, we're trying to graduate a generation of kids that can be hired and have great outcomes and upward mobility and all these things, which everybody agrees with. But under the subject of what challenges you might like to suggest, what I'd like to suggest is something in a couple words that I've yet to hear today from anybody from 8 o'clock on: music and art. These things I couldn't
agree more.
Whoa!
Great idea.
These things can, I don't have a study, but these things can really lead to great outcomes, and there's lots of ways that technology can get in there and be very helpful in those areas. So I'm hoping some of these challenges coming up will have something in those fields.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more. I think the idea of beauty, art, music being part of this conversation, especially when you look at the connections between music and technology and a host of other kinds of things with it. But just for art in itself, you know, I think, again, it's not just economic viability, it's being able to live, like I said, live free and kind of live beyond that. A question over here? Okay.
Thank you. I'll give it back, I promise. You asked for suggestions on how to attract that lunatic fringe, and let me back up. I'm Justin Up with the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Maybe not so much even the lunatic fringe, but as a technologist with a deep interest in education, as I go about normal things throughout the day, we might see an idea or have something that just sparks off the top of our heads, and I think this touches on what the gentleman said in terms of entrepreneurship and the other gentleman that was asking, how do you bring something to you guys when you don't have data yet? Instead of necessarily what I would call what you guys are doing, modality incubators, where you've got something already there, almost an idea incubator, where people who have ideas but don't have the time or the funding from their organizations could apply and, you know, take a page from the university's sabbatical concept. You know, give them some time to maybe develop their idea, use it as an incubator for an idea to say, you know, we've seen this process time and time and time again, and wow, wouldn't it be interesting if we could do this with maybe this technology, but then you've got to go do the 50 million other things that are on your plate for the day. So some type of way to incubate the ideas beyond just taking ideas that have already got some data behind them might really be useful.
We have time for a couple more, and we'll go, whatever.
Shock. My name's John McEachran. I have the best job in the world. I'm an applied researcher for USAA, big financial services company down in San Antonio. Very good. We also have a USAA Educational Foundation doing a lot of the same work you do. I've also been married to the same lovely woman for 26 years. She's an educator. I hear all the bad news every night. You basically got people, process, and technology. I see you're focusing on the technology, maybe a little bit on the process. The biggest stumbling block we've seen has been the politics and the legislation and the rules and regulations around the individual school districts. Every school district's different, every state is different, everybody's got different hurdles to jump over there. Could you, in line with this other gentleman's suggestion, could you also offer and find interested school districts that are open-minded, willing to step back, relax the rules a little bit, and say, yeah, we could be your guinea pig. You've got a great idea. Come on in. Try it out here.
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And we mentioned, you know, it does speak to some of the comments we had earlier about trying to connect the supply and the demand side. And we're doing some of the interesting things in our K-12 work that hopefully will come out in the next few months about trying to get some of those districts also to work together so you don't have 15,000, you know, different things. Last comment?
Yeah, quick question. My name is Prasad Madali. I work for Intel. During some of my ethnography studies, I found that you know, students like to learn from their friends, other students. So I was wondering, it would be really useful, or if there is some kind of a toolkit that a student could download, perhaps from Microsoft, and quickly put together an audio-video type of a explanation of a concept or something that he could then share it with his or her friends, you know, something like this. Just a thought.
Yeah. Whole frame of ideas. Great. So we're going to be doing this work. The folks at EDUCAUSE are leading it, and we're going to be helping support it for years. And Josh has visions of the road ahead. Might want to tell them the website again, just so they have it. Yep. nextgenlearning.org, and our emails are going to be available through the conference website. And we want to keep hearing answers to those questions from all of you. And I just close with this final word. For us, the big bang for the buck is the to what end question. Is the technology use in and of itself is wonderful. We want to ask the burning question of to what end, and we're trying to start a larger conversation about trying to point the power of technology towards helping more students have a pathway to possibility. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ginny?